Economists and frankly many on Wall Street are having this debate about whether or not the U.S. is in a recession or whether or not we are going to see a recession. But no matter the answer, inflation has certainly hit U.S. consumers hard this past year. Prices are up nearly 6.5% from a year ago, and it's causing people to make some very tough choices about what to spend their money on. There's one media organization, though, out with new data showing that the state of streaming remains very strong. Spending on streaming rising more than 17% last year in 2022, topping $30 billion. This is according to data from Digital Entertainment Group. So here with more on that, we want to bring in John Niermann, Loop Media's CEO and co-founder. John, it's great to have you. Lots to get into here when it comes to the world of streaming. But first, just your assessment, given the insight that you have at Loop Media. How strong is streaming right now, and how much of that jump do you think is just a result of more people cutting the cord?
I think it's very strong. I think it'll continue to get stronger. You know, people love choice. They like to customize what they watch when they want to watch it. Streaming offers that perfect solution. You've got a plethora of choices out there right now, so it's getting a little confusing. But the state of streaming will continue to grow across all different platforms, whether they're free or subscription.
I'm just curious, before we move on to some Disney stories, do you think that increased spending is just more a reflection of the cord-cutting acceleration?
It is. You got a majority of the people now who finally have figured it out. I'll give Disney credit for that. In 2019, I think that really tipped into the mainstream. You know, prior to that, people hear about Pluto, Hulu. They're not really sure what all that means, but you're pretty clear about what Disney means. So I think that really enabled people to jump in the streaming boat if they haven't done it before. So I just feel like there's just something for everyone, like I said.
All right, so you were the president of Walt Disney International Asia Pacific in the early 2000s. Disney facing some questions about what it will do with Hulu. The company currently has a 2/3 stake in the streaming platform, while Comcast has the other third. In 24, Disney has the option to acquire Comcast stake in Hulu or sell it. Here's what Needham senior media analyst Laura Martin had to say about what she thinks they'll do.
As you look at the Disney track record, including the 15 years under Iger, they don't sell anything. They just buy stuff. And even it's a $70 billion Fox assets, they aren't sellers of assets. So I'd be shocked if, but I think what he's trying to put Comcast on notice is if Comcast wants to charge 4 times as much for their third of Hulu than he wants, Bob Iger is going to say, no, we're going to put it to you at that value. So I think he's trying to negotiate a more fair price for what Comcast is going to ask for his third. But based on his track record, I would guess they end up owning the last third of Hulu, not selling it to Comcast.
John, what do you think Bob Iger will do?
She's going on red. I'm going to go on black. And here's why. You know, I think if you kind of look historically, I started at Disney in the 80s. And I saw a lot of experimentation. Go back to how cool was it they turned a movie into an NHL franchise with the Mighty Ducks in '93. And then they bought ABC. With ABC came ESPN. So now you're going deeper on sports. Well, let's buy the Anaheim Angels. So you try and create this thing, but then, okay, we don't want to be sport owners. So in fact, they do shed things, and pre-Bob, obviously. Then look at the studios. So you had Walt Disney Studios, and you wanted to go a little bit broader, you know, and you had to make more colorful movies. So you start Touchstone. And then from there, you go into Hollywood Pictures. So Disney throws a lot of oars in the water, from my experience. And I think over time, they explore it. Maybe some of them work, some of them don't. I think it's the same thing with Hulu. I think that in mid-2000s, whenever they start streaming, they're testing it, and they're kind of sleeping with the enemies with, you know, NBC and Fox and everybody. And over 10 years, they decide, hey, if we put all of our own content into one place, that's a better model. So I just don't see any real value there. You either do this thing because there's a strong strategic purpose or because it's really profitable. I don't know the numbers on it. Don't know if it's profitable, but if Disney's looking to cut cost, I don't really see the strategic value personally. I see much more of a strategic value for Comcast because I think it's a much better play than Peacock, Zumo, and whatever else they've done.
So, John, that's Hulu. What about ESPN? Because Iger reorganized the company. ESPN is now its own division. some talk about whether or not that could mean that Disney maybe is getting ready to spin off ESPN. We know Iger said that that's not in the plans, at least for now. What do you think makes the most sense when it comes to Disney's future with ESPN?
That's the one I can't see them touching. I mean, again, they bought ABC back in 1995 for $19 billion. I think ESPN on its own is worth over $50 billion now. It is the hallmark of sports broadcasting. It will continue to be, as far as I'm concerned. The regional networks never really took a bite out of it. So I don't know why you would shed that. It's just such a great franchise for them, and it's made money for them. It's done all sorts of great things. That's an area of focus. ESPN's great. It stands out on its own. Hulu's general entertainment. They don't need that to bolster Disney or find a place for their content.
This was great, John. I got to come back and see. He's got a lot more questions about this media landscape. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Loop Media CEO, great to have you, sir.